Today I'm talking to Sarah Beardmore. She is a social change and development policy specialist with Global Partnership for Education. GPE is the largest global fund solely dedicated to transforming education in lower income countries. Hi, Ms. Beardmore. Thanks so much for talking to me today. The Convention on the Rights of the Child says that every child has the right to an education, and that education should help them to live peacefully and protect the environment. Right now, 222 million crisis affected kids and teens need urgent education support because of conflict, poverty, and climate change. A record 36.5 million kids were displaced from their homes by the end of 2021, the highest number recorded since World War II. What happens when kids are not able to go to school?
Thanks so much for having me, Robert, and for your question. I think it's a good one. If we think about childhood, schools are really the place where children can go that's safe, where they can be kids, where they can learn, they can nourish their talent, find out what they're good at, what they're interested in. It equips them to engage in the wider world, and to become agents of their own lives, really to be able to choose the path that they want to walk in the world. So when that's denied, kids, often fall into really hard times, right? They might have to join the labor force and work even as children. They might have to work in even unsecure and unsafe jobs. In many countries around the world, girls are kept out of school so they can stay home and take care of their siblings, clean the house, collect water. And that, I think, when kids are not in school, ultimately they're more vulnerable to exploitation without the knowledge to defend themselves. And it really prevents them from growing into their future with all of their opportunities open to them.
Yeah. Kids who are going hungry or thirsty from climate change can't learn. Kids need to be in school instead of walking miles to get dirty water. 1 in 10 people on Earth don't have access to clean water. What do you wish more people knew about the importance of education in fighting climate change?
Climate change is ultimately a human caused problem. It's our relationship with the planet and with fossil fuels that really is driving the situation that we're in. So ultimately, we actually need a human solution to this crisis. Technology is not going to save us if we don't change the mindsets that are responsible for exploiting the planet and each other. And this is really the same mindset that has led us to huge inequality, both in and among countries, between the rich and the poor. And when we can't imagine our interdependence, the preciousness of all life, the need to care for our ecosystems and our children as if they were our own families. That's really what I think education helps us to do in terms of fighting climate change. It instills the values, the behaviors, the knowledge to be able to really tackle this as the greatest existential crisis that we've ever faced as humanity.
Yeah. It's a vicious circle because schools are more at risk from climate change, but when you can't go to school, you don't learn the tools to help make climate friendly decisions. To take action to tackle climate change, to demand faster climate action and promote sustainability and reduce injury from climate related disasters. What is needed most urgently?
It's a great question. I mean, I think for us at the Global Partnership for Education, we've been discussing what a climate smart education system would be able to do and achieve. And I think first and foremost, we need to ensure that we are protecting education, even when there's a crisis, ensuring that kids are not denied a right to education, even when there's a disaster, and ensuring that their schools are safe places to learn, where we're really enhancing their learning opportunities. So that's the first thing that education really needs urgently to do. But we also need education to promote more sustainable practices. We need it to protect the planet. We need it to change our relationship fundamentally with the earth. And we also need education to help promote climate justice. The most vulnerable people are the ones that are most impacted by climate change. And unless we face the reality of those inequalities through education by making sure we're really targeting resources and strategies to help those who are most vulnerable, then it's not an education system that's climate smart yet. So on the one hand, we need to ensure that schools and education systems are climate resilient, that they're able to withstand shocks and even the slow onset emergencies. So what we're seeing, for example, is that there's an increasing number of cyclones, major drought, floods, and these all can destroy school buildings. And so we need to make sure that schools are built in safe places, that they're built from really durable and sustainable materials. But there are other longer term crises like the intensifying heat. It's really hard to learn when you're in a classroom that's 90 degrees Fahrenheit. And in fact, they have found linkages with reduced learning when it's hot outside. And so we need to make sure that schools are able to withstand the reality of what climate is causing our environment to be like to live in. But we also need education very urgently to mobilize the next generation for climate action. We need to rapidly transition to green economies. We need to rapidly transition to different ways of producing energy. And as I said, we need to really be promoting ways of living on this planet that are respectful of all life and all of the Earth's life systems that we're actually a part of and that we depend on. So I think that there are a lot of urgent things that we need to do through education. And it's absolutely urgent that we start supporting countries to make sure their education systems are climate smart.
Yeah. Sometimes my classroom gets way too hot and there's no air conditioners in my
Yeah,
class.
exactly. A lot of countries that maybe before they didn't need to have air conditioning now need air conditioning. And so the buildings aren't equipped yet to handle these temperatures that are, higher than they've ever been.
Yeah, and it's harder to learn as well. It's very difficult to learn when you're sweating or when you just need air.
Yeah, definitely.
If we don't help, more and more kids won't be able to realize their dreams, and down the road, their kids will be less able to survive, let alone thrive in our changing world. The kids in the poorest areas are the hardest hit by these issues. We need to lift kids up so they can help each other. What is the best way for kids like me who are in a school who help others who aren't?
Well, I think Robert, what you're doing already is awesome. Raising awareness, using your voice to bring knowledge to people about what the problems are, what the science says, and what we can do about it. So I think you're already a great role model. And the truth is that kids of any age can be activists. We need to all be working in solidarity with others around the world for a better world for all of us. And I think in countries that are the most responsible for climate change, actually, you can use your voice to demand that your governments do more to regulate emissions, to reduce them. And you can also advocate for Indigenous people in your country to have a voice in managing natural resources, and also that their own knowledge be valued in your own education systems. I think you can also call on your governments to contribute to like big global funds that have been set up to help address the challenges of climate change and of education. And whether that's GPE, where I work, or the new loss and damage fund that is going to compensate countries hardest hit by the climate emergency that was called for at last year's COP. And as you are modeling in your own life, you can influence the grown-ups around you too, and I think that that's probably one of the most powerful things that kids can do. Often when we educate children, they go home and they talk to their families, they talk to their grandparents, they talk to their neighbors, and that's how we really get a wave of change from schools out into communities. And it's going to take every one of us doing that if we're really going to change quickly enough to help bring us into sustainability.
Yeah. The world needs a billion activists, and we need children and youth to help address climate change and its effects, now more than ever. But countries in the global north, like the EU, the UK, Russia, Canada, and the US, can't continue on developing oil and gas, carrying on business as usual if things are going to get better. What message would you send to business and government leaders?
That we need urgent action now to keep global warming under 1.5 degrees Celsius. And beyond that, we humans are not going to be able to adapt. We're not here to save the planet alone. We are a part of it, and we need to save ourselves. And we need to put aside politics, we need to put aside economic competition, short term profit, and really focus together on what we all need to do together to live within our planetary boundaries.
Yeah. This has been a really great talk. Thanks so much for taking the time to chat with me today. And remember, together kids can save the world. Please like and subscribe. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Robert. Bye.